Hello, I'm Kimberly Powell, and this is Showbiz Mums, a podcast about mums working in theatre and how they juggle the chaos of parenting plus an 8-show week. We'll cover birth stories, pregnancy, and postpartum in the theatre industry, and discuss how to maintain a career whilst having kids, or at least trying to. We'll also open up the conversation of job sharing and why that can be beneficial. So join me as we speak to some amazing theatre parents and get some advice on this pretty niche subject matter, but something I'm really passionate about. Today, I'm speaking to Sarah Lark. Sarah has appeared in The Witches of Eastwick, Mamma Mia, Carrie's War, and The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, which is where I met her, giving it full-on Dolly Parton. She was on BBC's I'd Do Anything in the Search for Nancy programme, where she ended up being offered first cover in that production of Oliver. She's currently in Les Miz as swing and assistant musical staging, and she's now part of the furniture, having been there for over 10 years in everything from Dance Captain, Cover Factory Girl, and Madame Thénardier. And Sarah really was one of the first pioneers of job sharing. And I think anytime the phrase comes up, everyone looks to her. And I can't wait to chat about her setup and see how it all came about. Hi, Sarah. How's it going?
Hello. Lovely. Yeah, great. Lovely. What a lovely introduction. I was like, that's me.
No.
Hello.
Hello. Here we are. How are you today?
I'm great. Yeah, absolutely great. Yeah, lovely. The weather is lovely and sunny. The school run was delightful instead of being with rain. So I'm very happy, feeling very happy looking out that window.
Finally, spring is here. I mean, we've waited long enough.
We have.
So do you have shows tonight? Are you on tonight?
No, so very luckily with my job share currently, and just because of the way Les Mis currently is with our Thursday matinee, the way to divide our 8 into 4 is that I bookend the week myself. So I do Monday show, then I come back Friday, Saturday, and the job share on my other half, who's currently Lily Dillahay, does Tuesday, Wednesday, and the 2 shows Thursday. So I'm next in the office on Friday.
Oh my God, what a great set. I'm so excited with this chat because I've always wanted to know how it works for you guys, like how you do it. So anyway, right, we'll get into it. Let's just take us back to you finding out that you were pregnant. Were you in Les Mis at the time?
Oh, no, so I had done 3 incredible years in Les Mis, started in the ensemble and then took over for a maternity for my friend Katie.
Okay.
Did her year with assistant, dance captain and swing. And then she literally came back as the cast change happened and talked about staying, and I was like, 3 years, that's a really great amount of time. I'm going to move on. And we planned our wedding to be directly 2 weeks after, so that I could be like, right, I'm going to wipe out that next month. We're going to get married. We're going to go on honeymoon. So yes, it was all planned like that. And then we got married and just truly hoped that we'd be joined by someone. And very luckily, a few months later, I found out I was pregnant. And it was incredible. We were very lucky. And just that joy. I mean, some people are able to contain it. And I was like, I need to ring him right now. He's on a southeastern train and I'm FaceTiming him from the loo with literally with like the 2 lines. And he was like this, oh, great. And I was like, I need more. Yeah, so love him. That was exciting. And I think we felt incredibly lucky. And I always kind of treated both pregnancies, but kind of especially my eldest daughter, Nell, with right now I'm pregnant, and that's hopefully what's going to happen because many friends have not had things go as far as you'd hope, and I just couldn't quite believe it, really.
Yeah.
So every time I'm pregnant, we're having all the scans, everything's going great. So that was 2015 into 16, and she was born 2 weeks late, and she didn't want to come. We did everything we could. It was falling. She was due the end of May, which is going to perfectly get aligned with my parents and my brother's half term. They were going to come up. They still did come up and watch me bounce on a ball for a week. Like,
come on.
Yeah. I remember just looking at her crib, which was my crib and my brother's crib when we were younger. My parents brought up, and I was just like with the bump going, and out you come. And out we come. She just wouldn't. And so the whole of the pregnancy, I'd kind of done all my other jobs that I do in between. I was working in my box office at Jermyn Street Theatre. And so I'd been working, and about a month before the due date, I was like, it's time. I'd done my piano bar called Show Off, and I was just happily not having to do 8 shows a week, but just thinking, right, let's do this next chapter. And then, so she finally came out 72 hours of labour,
Oh,
emergency C-section. Yeah. I mean, luckily the emergency was just, she can't be 18 in there. There was no like banging alarms. We were very lucky. It was just the man who'd put me onto the epidural to help me in like the middle of the night was 24 hours later. Him and the consultant who put me on the epidural came back and went, I think we've got to get the baby out. I was like, oh, yeah, I think so. So there was no, luckily, alarms, but it was a C-section, which was obviously unplanned, but very luckily, Hugh could be with me for all of it, my husband, and that was wonderful. And we had a beautiful baby girl who just appeared with this element of, oh, right, that's who I've been given. Great. So just calm. I was like, it took so long to get you out. But
super chilled.
Yeah. Super
Great.
chilled kid. And she really was a great advertising campaign to have more children, have more of us. And yeah, she was great.
Keep it going.
And now she's nearly 10.
Mental.
That's my first pregnancy.
Oh, and how was your recovery?
Actually, really good. I was
Yeah.
incredibly lucky. I had brilliant support. Hugh was able to be home with me for the first couple of weeks, and I just was desperate to show her off. I felt in that world of just desperate people to come over, and anyone that came over from friends who had had children before, wonderful friends who appeared with like food, to friends, they'd be like, what can I do? I was like, can you get that buggy out of that car so I can take her for a walk? Just for the stuff I couldn't lift because of the C-section. But no, I felt like I could take the world on. I was pushing this pram. We had even voting around that time, and I pushed it, and then I could feel this little kind of twinge probably with my scar slightly. And then I ended up going back down the doctor just saying, can you check? And she was like, you shouldn't be out of bed. I was like, I shouldn't be out of bed. I can do this. But yeah, I think it was just I pushed it a little far, being that kind of, I've got this. And it was just me and my girl, and we were just having the best time. And I did recover really well. And then I had a little girl with me, which was just, she's glorious. She's glorious.
Oh, God, I love it. Love it so much. So when did the idea of going back to work come about?
So I kind of, all the other jobs that I'd been able to do during my pregnancy kind of started to be like, oh, shall I think about going back? I did certainly give us a real good 6-7 months. When I was pregnant with Nell I'd left Les Miz June 2015, and that Christmas I was doing pantomime when I was pregnant with Nell, when I was about 4 months pregnant.
Oh, cool.
Playing a fairy in Chatham. And whilst I was there, a phone call came in saying, is Sarah and shouldn't come back for Les Mis because somebody is leaving. And I had to say, thank you so much for thinking of me. I would give birth on stage, so I'm not the one you would like to back.
Sure.
Thank you. So that kind of connection never luckily dropped with Les Mis in particular being such a show that moves people around. There's so many productions of it. People are kind of everywhere. We'll take that person, put them in this. So that could have happened again. But I started auditioning. I remember doing a few auditions with Nell, taking her along, friends having her in cafes, and then I auditioned for Oklahoma at the proms, and that she would have been nearly a year when I auditioned for that, and unbelievably got it. And so I was thrilled and thought, what a lovely kind of short contract that as we all go when we come back to work, whatever happens, if this doesn't work, if we can't make it work, if baby's not happy with me, whatever happens, we can get through like 2 months. And it gave me that real ability to feel how I'd feel, how my body would feel, how everything, works. And so, I went back to work and did that. And then with lovely Lauren Hall, and all these wonderful people who I was, wonderful. So I was having loads of chats with people, and I was like, my baby's nearly 1. They were just like, that's amazing. So it was a lovely gig. And whilst there, got another lovely email saying, would Sarah be interested in coming back to the show? Because the friend I'd left in it, my friend Jo Loxton, was pregnant and going on maternity. And she was going to leave in about January. And I was like, right, where are we? We're June, July, I'm working. I'd go back. The contract's for like 6 months again. That's the next level up. 2 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, let's chat about it. And they went, glad Sarah's interested. Can she start in September?
Oh, wow.
And my whole panic, because Nell wasn't in childcare. She was with me, and And for Oklahoma, it was my wonderful family, my parents and my brother, people coming up, and Hugh taking time off work and holidays to just enable me to work. And I just burst into tears to my agent and was like, I'd love to go back, but it's a little bit soon. And I don't think it's me this time. And they were so calm, and they were just like, let's go back and chat, because understandably she might be leaving the stage at that time, maternity, but it might be that they need her, they will put her off stage one, doing her other side of the jobs, which was like the dance captain side. So we all sat down as a family, and then they said, they're really looking forward to having you back. When can you make it work? And I went, okay, let's do October. Let's do October half term, and we can start it off with my family. And we'd found local nurseries, and I think we started with a childminder as well, which was amazing, and a mum friend. So it was like tentative steps. And so there I was back with my friend Jo Loxton, who's pregnant, doing a handover day. I'd been off the show for about a year and a half, 2 years, and I was coming back full time for her maternity. And it's that stage where you have a young child, which means you have the days with them. And that gift where you're not having to take them to school, as I am now, where I'm at home being like, they're not here to play. So I went back to work, and very luckily, they started to pull her off stage, being like, well, she can do Monday to Friday, Sarah can do Saturday. So we were kind of starting the job share there and then. And I did the Saturdays, and the first Saturday back, I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like I had no child that I was carrying, and no pushchair, no buggy, no bags. And then I was like, wow, I've just done a day at work. And then I came back the next Saturday. I felt very torn. Leaving her, everything I felt uneasy again, of that, oh gosh, who am I as a person without wanting to, want to be with her? And so, and then slowly, by doing that little baby steps, and by the fact that I was taking over when it wasn't a rehearsal process, so it was all calmer. And then, just got into a real rhythm, got into a wonderful rhythm. And then Jo went off and had her first child, and, we kept in touch with the job. And then, and then I did it until her and her husband and me and Hugh had a conversation of, do we put the job share idea together and propose it? And history has unfolded.
Wow. Okay. So it came from her maternity, essentially. So her going off, and then her deciding she potentially wanted to come back.
Yeah. So I think the way that her maternity worked was, it was going to be coming back in the January of 2019. Okay. And Mummy Banter, the wonderful Facebook group of wonderful mums throughout the theatrical, wonderful world we live in. And there'd been lots of conversations of people being, wouldn't job shares be amazing? I mean, obviously now we are in a fantastic momentum, which is just wonderful. And there's two of us that do it here. It's just, we know the gifts it gives, and we know the gifts it gives the company. So we were carrying on with the idea of, let's try and get this going. We had heard of two that were starting. One that did go to completion and happened, I think, just slightly was ahead of us. But when we put it together, the proposal, Jo and her husband Sean had written this fantastic proposal, because it's obviously her job. I was her maternity cover. So I took the lead from her. And then we looked at it and added any bits, because my husband works in theatre, in production on the other side. So he was able to kind of offer a few of the things I hadn't seen of, well, how would that help the company? And we've always sat down and gone, especially as performers on a job, so how would it help? The obvious reasons why it helps us. How does it help the company? And wrote a proposal that was very much like how we'd split the week. I'm not telling them how they want it, but this could be how we could divide it. This is how you divide sick. This is how you divide holiday. This is how we'd be up for it. And communication between us, that, you tell her something on a Tuesday and I will know it on the Thursday, so that
Totally.
All the stuff that you want to achieve from a company. And then we, with our agents as well, proposed it to our associate producer and said we'd be really interested to chat about it and have meetings. And their response was, sounds great. When should we start? Just like absolutely bowled over by it.
That's incredible. That's the perfect story. What a good foursome. I feel like each one of you were like her and her partner, you and your, like Hugh's got so much knowledge, like you say, coming into it saying, well, actually there's things on the other side here. Let's think about the company. And I can see they went for it. I find with my company, it was similar. They were a little bit like, you guys go away and sort it out. come back and tell us what it is, and we're happy to go for it. And so we were like, all right, great, sort it out between you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it does make sense. It was the time when we had Wednesday matinees, so again, it was a slightly easier slice of the pie, so that even holidays weren't affected, which currently they slightly are because people take 3-day breaks and 6-day breaks. But again, the company have always been really great that actually me and all the lovely women I've job share with, we have so much communication about holidays as well. And mostly as parents, you're probably going to go for the holidays because that's when you need to be taking the time off. That's when your children are able to be out of school. So we proposed it. They were very happy about it. And then we started it in January 2019 when she came back. And that was so lovely to bring her back, having her brought me back. And we had an amazing kind of get back into the show. And at that point, we were like, we're doing a job show. And even the company were really excited about it. I wasn't having to leave. Jo was coming back. And then they went, but big news, Les Miz is closing.
Stop.
Yeah, it was literally, I think it could have even been the same day when all the new plans for the new version was coming out, which was we're closing this production. Yeah. There will be something interim, and then we reopened the new production in December. So it was like, wow. So, it was after the end of our contract, so we all got extended. So it wasn't like anything changed for us. It just was a new curveball. And then the next thing for us were they then auditioned for what was the first version of the Les Mis concert in the Gielgud Theatre. And a few of us kind of were called about it. And Jo and I were luckily called about it and asked to do exactly what we do on town, which was swing, assistant dance captain, and on a job share. Which is probably the first time we cost them money because then we were in rehearsals for this new version, both of us full time, which was incredible because we knew that was always the thing because I had costumes, she had costumes, logistics of where they are because, where they fit in the building. But we hadn't cost anything before then to the company, which is obviously it's a business, they have to look at that. But with the concert, they said, let's do it. Let's keep everything as it is. And we job shared the concert, which then, and that was an incredible summer, just because alumni that I had spent many years with on and off through Les Mis were back, and people who'd done it for years, people who'd played all the parts are now back in the ensemble. It was a glorious summer of celebration that then took us up to the new version.
Great. How does it work obviously I can see how it works as swing. How does it work as dance captain or assistant dance captain?
Yeah. We just became a good trio. So when she went on maternity, what they rightfully and cleverly did was move the assistant dance captain, Oliver Brennan, up to dance captain, and I came in as assistant dance captain, and we were there before when I was full time. Then on Jo's return, we just shared that, and we just became a really good trio in terms of on my days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that it was when I got the offs, I'd be cutting the girls and looking at who covering what, and then on the other days, Jo would do it. So the communication was always such a main thing for me because I want this job share and have always wanted this job share to be such an appealing thing for a company because the more it appeals to them, the more they'll go, we'll do that on this production, which has happened with CML. They then were using the same setup that we have and the same proposal when somebody asked for it over at Phantom. It happened, and that brings me so much joy that it's never caused any issues. Then it works. So we kind of all just shared that as assistant dance captain and we were kind of all a team of mostly cutting off the show, looking after the show, and we'd rehearse on our days. So if there were rehearsals on a Monday, you had me. Rehearsals on a Tuesday, the day, now we rehearse on our days. So
okay, I was going to ask for rehearsal. So it's just whoever's in that day. Perfect. That makes perfect sense.
Whoever's fallen on that day. And that time we were covering Factory Girl, which that feature, and that didn't really affect, we were able to do that as a job share. But then later on in time, as you talked about, when it came back to the new production, just because of logistics, and I think it was the time they wanted to move it and everything, that then I did come back full time. And that was the year of 2019. And I very much thought this is probably the last year I would be able to do full time because I knew my daughter Nell was starting school in the following September. Right. And the contract was until September. And I thought, okay, this is the year. And then I got dance captain and a Madam T cover. So I then did that. Thought I'd be doing it in March 2020.
And there you go. Yeah.
So we only opened the new version for 4 months. So when I came back to relaunch the new version, when we came back in 21, my brain was like, we didn't even get our feet under the table with that.
No.
I'm so used to the years before. So yes, and then lockdown.
And then lockdown. So how long
Yeah.
until you then got pregnant with your second?
Well, so we always wanted to, we always said to, we always thought about actually when Nell turned about 1 or 2, we'd be like, right, is it the time? But we've also, especially with my side of with my career, has been when an opportunity comes, we look at it as a family, we look at how it works for our children and especially Nell at the time, what would make her happiest and how would we make work as a family, and we say yes if it works. And so everything kind of led us to that point. So we ended up having a 4-year-old, and being like, oh, maybe are we going to have a second? And we kind of looked in the loft, realized we'd kept everything from like every Sangenic bin to, we were like, I think there's another person wanting to join us. And it was, Feb 2020. I'd ridiculously in the Christmas before felt we were outgrowing our lovely little 2 up, 2 down in it around the corner. And I had kind of really, it was like someone was pushing from behind my brain going, I think we need to move. My husband's like, hang on, you're back in work full time. And I was like, need a new house. And we somehow put a house up for sale on the Valentine's weekend, found a house that we really loved, put an offer in, and then went, maybe we should think about number 2. And then pandemic hits. I go into work on a Monday, I'm dance captain, I'm cutting the show, and I'm watching Boris say, don't go to theatres, and I walk into work. I've cut the show to an inch of its life because people have been told to sit home and rest. Walked into my company manager, Hannah, and we looked at each other and went, this isn't happening, is it? Both burst into tears, left the building, had a week's worth of going, I'm not working. At the same time, I'd remembered that I'd been an equity deputy for years on Les Miz. And in the new version, I said, look, I'm full-time, I'm dance captain, covering, I'm swing. I'm really happy to just look after equity dep for a minute. But if somebody wants to come in, and they're like, great, you can do it for a little while. We opened, and then next thing I wake up and we've all been shut down. I'm on a call with equity, trying to work out how we're all going to survive and have a week's worth of just like, what's going to happen? Boris does lockdown fully the following Monday. We're locked down. My parents we're all just devastated. We can't all see each other. And then on the Tuesday, I woke up and thought, oh, I feel a bit funny. Did a pregnancy test and it was positive.
Talk about timing. Oh my God.
Absolutely. Couldn't have imagined that we'd be like, you are all locked down, pregnant. Which of course felt like I just felt like, well, goodbye, alcohol. Because that's all everyone was doing.
Of course it was.
But it meant I could cover it. It meant I could pretend to have like beers, even though my friends were like, she doesn't drink beer, she drinks Prosecco. So I got away with it. And actually it meant, yes, it had it did perfectly work out, because actually at that point I would have been personally terrified to have tried to get pregnant if we hadn't already fallen pregnant, to put myself within the hospital system, with the differences of things happening. And so I just got more and more pregnant and showed very quickly. So very lucky, because that would have been a massive giveaway at work.
Yeah.
And work were fantastic and were like, because I'd fallen pregnant at work, my last thing I did on the stage, and something like 12th of March 2020 was my Madam T cover run. And little James my son had just been there. He was just there, because obviously when I turned out I was pregnant, yeah. So he was on stage with me and it meant that very kindly they said, okay, well, tell us when you want to start maternity. So I was like, well, I'm not working, so I have no idea. And so into the next few months where I got more and more pregnant, and obviously every time with all the shows, it was like, are we opening? Are we not? No, we can't. Yes, we can. And the world was starting to wake up a little bit. And then luckily in the October month before I was due, we were invited to do Britain's Got Talent. So Les Mis, Phantom, Mary Poppins, and they were like, would you like to do it? I was like, are you sure? I'm very, very pregnant. And they're like, no, we'd love you to be part of it. And if you go back and watch the video, really pregnant woman. And yes, I turned up. We did a few days, and by that point testing is in. And everyone, of course, is understandably like, "You're pregnant." And I was like, "Yes, but don't come near me." Because I'm just terrified. I was just terrified. I wanted to cuddle people because it was so emotional. And we're all in masks, but, we're all testing, but none of, it's October 2020. Everything was so early. So I did Britain's Got Talent, and I'd kind of not seen people, COVID. Not really. I never normally say much on social media, especially about the children, especially until they're born. Unless you knew me or were talking to me, I wasn't secretive. But I mean, that was a big "hello, I'm pregnant" world. If I haven't told you,
now you know.
I'm 8 months pregnant. So
Oh, it's great you were able to do part of the show or do a bit of performing in your costume.
Yeah.
Or, well, in a costume.
Yeah, it was so lovely. It was so lovely to have that moment where you're like, okay. And I looked in the mirror with the same costume and hat because I hadn't had that with either children. In terms of with Les Miz, I'd had it on a panto with James. It was obviously just a different experience. And then he was born. So I then went on maternity leave from a job that didn't exist, but that was fabulous because it did. And then they did the concert over the Christmas, which obviously I was on maternity, and then I had James in second lockdown, which wasn't as fun because Hugh couldn't be with me, and we did a planned C-section for that because of the emergency, and because of having a now 4.5-year-old at home. It felt like they were very happy with me being either way. I had 2 lovely, beautiful pregnancies, and they were very happy. But they said, there was no reason why she was an emergency. I think she just never tucked her chin down, and she was well and safe. But they offered me both, and because my parents were in Wales at the time, we decided if I did a planned, then my parents could come up and then be here with my daughter. And then, because she wasn't allowed in the hospital, he wasn't really allowed in the hospital, my husband. So it was, a different experience.
Yeah.
And then, so what happened, we had moved in the middle of this pandemic just to add to a bit of fun to the wonderful, it was just, So we had a new house. Had a baby. And so in the end, it was planned, and I went in, and Hugh was able to take me to the door and then wait in the car. And we both were watching British Bake Off, that was on in the time. He was in the car watching Bake Off, just to take my mind off what's going on.
Yeah.
And then he was allowed to come in and meet me for the surgery. And that surgery was completely different because I wasn't already lied down, tried to push for 72 hours. I was perfectly awake. James was like a weeker. They would do it 39 weeks for me.
Yeah.
Walked into the thing just like, I'm going to walk out with a baby. And walked out, and then C-section number 2. And then my husband was just, the whole time, he was just trying to keep me going and just being like, so do you think he's going to go through to the final? That was a good shortbread. I was like, yeah.
So Hugh was allowed in there for the birth then?
He was allowed for the C-section,
and
then he was allowed for certain visiting hours, because by this point we're in lockdown 2.
Right.
And I had many friends who had horrific, husbands outside looking through windows, and it was hard because I'd had such a nice experience on the first, even though it's an emergency section. Me and Hugh were able to 3 days be in a hospital, and if there was a problem with, if she just needed comfort and didn't need me to try and feed her and change a nappy, I could pass to him. But this one was a bit trickier. He was with me, and because that kind of went into visiting hours, he could be with me for a few hours, and then he had to come home. And I understand all the rules. It just was really hard. It was hard. And it meant that the staff in the hospital were working harder, because I would be like dinging the bell being like, he needs changing nappies. I can't do that. He needs comfort. So it was it was tense. But it, I was safe and I was fine. I just wanted to be home. I wanted to be at home with my daughter, and just wanted to introduce them. Introducing them on FaceTime is never a thing I planned with my children, to be like, this is your brother.
God, isn't it wild when you think back?
Completely wild. Yes. But we were very lucky, and it was very lovely to have him kind of really be ours. Whereas obviously I would love to have shown him off, but he became very much our, people would be able to come or maybe see us at the garden. And then, the world, we had it again where we had real lockdown of 21 in the beginning, and it was January, February, and it was raining, and it all just felt quite like, oh, I don't know if we're ever going to get out. And, it all just felt quite a lot for the children as well, because Nell had started school. She did amazingly. She started school in 2020, and that was her reception year, and everyone's in masks. Everyone is. She doesn't know people. She doesn't know the school, but she did so well. And then obviously her little brother comes along, and I'm pushing a pram, and she's like, my brother.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, it was lovely. And then when they all met at school, and then world slightly started to open, and then we came back to work in August 21. Now with 2 kids.
So how old was James by the time you went back to the show?
So
Probably.
when they finally started to realise we could open, they emailed and said, you'll be coming to the end of your maternity. We'd love to offer you a job back. And at that point, again, Hugh and I sat down and went, I don't think I can go back full time. I don't want to. He was about 6-7 months at that point.
Right.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And childcare, he hadn't been in anything because of COVID. So we as a family were like, we need to ask for a job share. And so we looked at that. And so I asked my agent to say, thank you so much for the offer. Would you consider a job share again? And of course they had so many juggling, trying to get, is the show opening? When's it happening? And so in the end, they looked, and that was the first time I think a job share went on Spotlight,
Okay.
where they actually advertised it as a role they needed. And at that point, I was going to step down simply a swing, just because of them wanting a creative team that were already in the building. And I, at that point, was like, I'm very happy to return to work, to a job I love, but I now have 2 children, which is a juggle. It's a juggle.
It's a
And you
juggle.
want to be there. It's a juggle. And
Yeah.
so I very luckily went back, and they did. They found my other lovely colleague, Emma Barr, came back into the show, and we came back. And in the heady August 21 of testing and the euphoria of coming back in, and then also the massive implications of trying to open a West End show properly and the West End starting to wake up.
Yeah.
We came back reopened September 21.
On the job
Yeah.
share. Great.
On the job share. So we used exactly the same that we had worked before with Jo. Emma was a previous cast member, and they had auditioned as they do in any other way. So at the time, Emma wasn't a parent as well. It just fitted perfectly with her life, because we were all coming back with
that's
Sunday
interesting.
shows.
So okay, great.
So she later went on to have children, but at that point it just worked for her life. She had her own school, and I've always wanted, obviously it's fantastic for parents, but there are so many other responsibilities, especially from COVID, caring responsibilities, people's other businesses that she was always had her own business. But I know so many people had other strings to their bow, other things. And we wanted, any conversation we've always had is this is so inclusive. It can't be exclusive. It needs to be for any reason that people want to work in a flexible way. And I've done panels on that before for the stage and flexible working. I never want it to just come from either parents. Could be dads. It could be people with elderly parents. It could be other responsibilities. So yes, having someone, when Emma came back, that was lovely to the 2 of us work together again. And so we did do rehearsals. And then that's where my job that you kindly introduced me as is this assistant musical staging role came back, because I was handing over my DC stuff to a wonderful colleague, Matt, who was taking over as DC, Matt Dempsey, and he came back, and I was there just handing over. And then they were trying to open everything else. And then Les Miz, the tour, opened about a month later. And because everything came back at the same time, and it doesn't happen in, Phantom will cast change another time, Les Miz, and then certainly for CML, for then, Hamilton will, that you have time. Well, everything was coming back. So I got a phone call from CML saying, all the work you did in the studio for relaunching Town, could you come and help us on the tour? And I was like, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to.
Great.
And because I was this point now job sharing, I'd done a bit of rehearsals full time to get the show up and running, which I do is that side of my job, as the creative side of it. And then I went and worked on the tour. And on the first day of rehearsals, I said, I'd love to come. I will have my son. And they were like, great. And I appear with James, like 10 months in a carrier. Katie Hall appears with her daughter. The children's resident director, Lauren, appears with her son. And we're all in the circle. Hi, I'm so, and they'd invented this title, and I was teaching it. And then it got to Claude Michel Schomburg, whose son Thomas Schomburg is executive producer for CML. And he just said, I'm not going to try his accent because that would be offensive. But he said, I can't carry my son anymore because Thomas is like in his 30s.
That's brilliant.
My 30s, yeah. So so we were all there like with baby carriers and pushchairs, and he's like, I can't carry him anymore. I was like, oh, fabulous.
Oh,
So yeah, that started that road. And then ever since, every cast change, I do this 5-week full-time of teaching new people the show.
Okay.
And that side of my brain gets, I kind of fire up, and then I teach it. And if a new cast we just had a cast change of a couple of characters, and I've come in full time and just done some logistics with it. So yeah, and that's the other side of my job.
That's great. So the creative kick in. I feel like you get that opportunity to be like, okay, I want to come in, but I know I don't want to be doing it all day, every day. But 5
Yeah.
weeks period here, 5 week there.
Yeah, I think that's the joy of, because I love swing, and I get that variety being swing, having done 2 years in ensemble, and then I've been swing ever since. And yet this is coming up to my 14th year. I joined 14 years ago.
Oh my God.
It's incredible. And I've
That is
probably done,
incredible.
with kind of COVID and with leaving and having Nell, I probably have worked about 10 years on the show.
Yeah,
And then obviously
sure.
take job share off. So I've never been able to work out fully my number. But
Mm.
yeah, 2012 I joined. And it kind of
Mad.
flukingly was, I think, because the associate director came to see the best little whorehouse in Texas that I did with you.
No way. There you go.
Yeah, because I'd auditioned for Les Miz for years. After Witches, we got our 2 weeks notice on Witches of Eastwick in 2001. Unfortunately, and a pile of us went and auditioned for Les Mis, and some wonderful people got it. Caroline Sheen, Sophia Ragavellis, I think my friend Jenny Dale, they all got the job that year. And I was 18, I wasn't right for it, and
Yeah.
I didn't get it. Did train at Royal Academy of Music, came back and auditioned again, didn't get it. It just, that time, it's like when I auditioned for Mamma Mia, I auditioned for it the year before and didn't get it. It wasn't the right fit. I didn't fit the right hole. The person was leaving. And I didn't know if Les Mis had kind of just passed my time, because I then was more in the age group. I'd passed the cassettes and the Ep8s, and I thought maybe it's not for me. And then got it in 2012.
Saw your Miss Mona.
They saw my Miss Mona, my middle-aged character.
You were incredible in that. That was such a funny. It was such a random production, but I do look back with fond memories. Yeah,
we had a good time, didn't we?
You were amazing.
You were fabulous. As are you. Thank you very much.
Ridiculous.
Wonderful. We had a great time doing it. No, I had such lovely times doing it and meeting new people and friends, and I think it really did show a different side, because I've luckily been working, but kind of as a younger character, and as I'm aging, and so. So it was lovely. So I think from seeing that, I got that audition, and then it tumbled, and then I got the job, and then very luckily being kind of associated with it ever since. And then so I'm now on so I've got lovely Jo Loxton, Emma Barr, then Sophie Feek. Sophie Feek came in and took over when Emma Barr ended up having a pregnancy and had a baby, and so she left for maternity. Sophie came in. And now Sophie's on maternity.
I love it.
And now Lily Dillahay. So I'm on, I'm with, and I just had a wonderful time with wonderful women. And sometimes it's hard because I don't get to work with them that much. That's why the 5 weeks is also great, because I get to work with them, and because we sometimes come in to help each other, which has always been the nature of it, that we've said that if it's not, we don't cover each other's holidays all the time, but if the show gets into trouble or people are sick or injured, they can call either of us. And the times I've been on the show with my other half is just like, we're here together. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. I love there's so many Les Mis babies that have come through, the maternity, and then someone else has come back and dipped in, dipped out. But again, it proves that women of childbearing age still want the work and are needed in the, there's work for us.
Absolutely. And I think that's where age is a gift, and I think ages in theatre is wonderful. Having a show that has a mix of ages, a mix of experiences. From my first job when I was 16, and I looked up, and which is especially my first job, had me and Scarlett Strallen were both 17, turning 18 on the job. And you had people at the top, like Maurice Lane and Julia Sutton, who were probably in their 60s, nearly in 70s. And I just remember just trying to just take it all in, just being like, I want to be that age. And I think that's where I've always wanted. I feel so lucky to be still part and be able to continue working through these years that I always wanted to give my all to, that I always want. That, the times when they're at home with you, I've had so many lovely times with both of them when I've been at home with them, and then they go to school, and then they need me in a whole different way. Yeah. And I want to be there for all of the competitions that they're doing, the sports days, those kind of moments are just so special. And that's why I'm so thankful for the job share, and that we've been able to make it work, and that I've been able to make it work with many different of us doing it in combinations, and then that getting bigger, which is why currently as an equity deputy, I'm still, and on the working party, flexible working is such a big talked about subject, because it keeps so many people still in the industry, and so many people of age that that have experience and so many wonderful things, that everything, and everyone's valid. Me starting at 16, 17, I brought something different than I would now, and it's that everything, that mix of ages is wonderful. So
I love it
yeah,
on a
we're very
show when you've
lucky.
got, like, I think also everybody gets on really well. Or, it can be nice to have so many different dynamics, having a whole different
Yeah.
variety of ages. Mamma Mia as well. There's all the
Absolutely. I know. And as a Mamma Mia alumni, having done it in 2005, 2007, I adore that show. I adore your show that you're doing.
oh,
I came to know I love it. I had the time of my life when I came to see it. The food was yummy, the dancing, and fabulous. And well,
oh,
it's
good.
Mamma Mia for you, isn't it? It's ABBA's fantastic music. And
Yeah.
I had 2 of the most amazing years, made friends for life who just this morning, well, it's one of our birthdays, and we're all messaging each other still. It's
Oh,
just nearly, it's just 20, 21 years now. Yeah,
mental.
fantastic friends for life, and friends that we've all seen each other through everything. And my friend Tasha, who you know very well,
Love
Tasha
Tasha.
Sheridan,
Yeah.
we met on Mamma Mia, and then we've been kind of through life together. And when I was offered to come back to Les Mis full time, she's one of the people I turned to, because she'd been back, I think, at School of Rock by that point. And I was like, how can I make that work? Because I'm a planner. I love my year ahead. I love looking and going, booking a holiday at the time it's cheapest. This is what we're going to do with the children. This is where I want to go. And the idea of just being like, I hope we make childcare work was making me like, I need to know. And that's that getting, the older I get and the more, slight experience I have with my 10 years with my daughter and my son, is that you can plan as much as you can, and then life is going to go, oh.
Oh, yeah.
So she really helped to be like, make this plan as a rough, and then have, it's everyone, it's your family, it's your friends. I have the most support, and my parents, who've now relocated to London
Oh, have
and
they?
live. Yeah. So
Oh,
just last year, it's nearly going to be a year, they moved up. They were, my wonderful brother got a job in as a teacher in North London, and it just made sense for their life now that they wanted to
yeah.
be close to my children and to us, and then now they live around the corner, and that's
Amazing.
opened, the support is incredible. They've
Yeah.
always, even you'd never have guessed that they've lived in Wales, the amount of support they've always given us.
Wow.
But having that, and to be close to them now as well, because I want to also be able to see them without being like, here's the children. I just want to be like, yeah, I'm going to come over and have a cup of
Yeah.
tea. And so we're entering another change again, as everything is, isn't it? It's all changing. My daughter needs me in a different way she used to. She's 10. She's about to do her 11 plus. Like, how have I got that nearly aged child? I don't know.
Totally. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good though, like you say. I think speaking to other mums and having mummy banter, or having other mums in the industry,
Yeah.
which is why I love having this chat with you, because it's what kind of helps us do it all. Because I'm a bit the same. I'm a bit like, I
Yeah.
don't really know what's coming ahead. So how can another mum tell me? You know?
Yeah. Oh,
I
because
feel it
they've
helps.
experienced it, or they've done it for, and I think that, and I do think that luckily, the more we do have job shares, the more we can um, work out how's the best way to go about it. How can you apply for it in jobs, and just have that conversation. And then how does this work for people? Because as we said, job shares work incredibly well for many of us. But for some, it wouldn't. Even for me, the financial reason has always been, will I be able to pay the childcare side of it from my side? Because otherwise it's me. I'm at home, just because of Hugh's stability in work and his happiness there. So it doesn't always work, because like you said, we're on exactly half. We're on exactly half holiday, half sick, half because we are working half of that. So it's having conversations and being able to say to friends, how did you do it? What of that? And how's this part of life? And then just going along with just, this is what's happening today, and just trying to, have all the fun, and not miss any of this stage, because
That's it. Not miss any of it.
very precious.
Do you have a career highlight? Is there any moment in your career? It doesn't have to be an entire job, but just any moment.
Yeah, I think this is really funny. I think I've had some amazing experiences and amazing times performing, and like doing a TV program that was random and wonderful, and opened so many doors, and that was a wonderful time of my life. But actually, it's probably most recently, and I like I said, I'm not the biggest person on social media, because I don't understand it. Whenever someone's like doing a concert and they're like, could you retweet that? Retweet I can do, but anything that's got tags in it, I'm just like, I'm really sorry, could you do that with my phone? But this one was a big one for me, because when I was 8, I turned to my parents watching what was now I know is the Children's Royal Variety Performance, and I fell in love and was just like, "Oh, I'd like to do that. How do I do that?" And my parents were just amazing, and got an advert that they looked for like summer schools, and they found a summer school at Italia Conti, and I came up to Italia Conti, and then I did summer schools, and then they became my agent, which then led to my first job, and it's kind of like the trickle effect of how I got there. But
Well,
any show I've luckily been part of, I'd never done the Raw Variety, because they'd send maybe the principal, different numbers. I'd never done that, and I was always just like, one day I'd love to do it. And it's ridiculous, but it really did come true in November when we were asked to do the Raw Variety performance, and it was an epic 400 performer. We had something like 20 drummers, and we did a celebration for Les Mis's 40th. And I got
wow.
to be part of it, from the rehearsal process to staying till midnight one of the nights, of teching it and just loving my life. Ended up on cans, running around with people with flags. And from that side of my job, as well as just standing on stage at the Royal Variety and just thinking, I made that little 8-year-old really happy. That's so silly. But I
Oh,
was so thrilled. I was so
so
thrilled to
special. Oh, Sarah, God, that's so lovely.
and knowing that, like, my 2 beautiful children were at home with my husband and my family, and my parents had helped in the day, because it was, I had 3 crazy days of being in just loving, just being like, I'm immersed in it. We were rehearsing in one venue. We were all going down to the Royal Variety. It was a 400 strong, with the West End cast, the French cast, and then about 320 people who had done Les Mis this year in amateur dramatic companies around the country, which of course is where I'm from. And so we
Wow.
just had a ball, and I then watching it with the children afterwards, just going, wow,
That's it.
that was what made me start this journey. I've just done it. Oh, so ridiculous, isn't it? But yeah, it was absolutely lovely to do. So I think career highlights. Oh gosh, I've been so lucky to work, and that those moments were like, that's to share that with your family and just look around and go, oh, we're lucky, aren't we? So yeah, that's probably my highlight. But also just making friendships along the way,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
meeting people, and having a network of people that are all there for each other. That's what I think this business is most important about, is support, and navigating all the times. I'm very lucky. I'm 26 years in from my first job, and I still love it.
But also, I think you've had so much longevity because partly because of the job share, but also because you're clearly such an amazing employee, I should say, because you made yourself so valuable that no one can get rid of you. Like, it's so amazing.
Even if they want to, they're like, that woman, she just keeps coming in. We don't pay her anymore, but she keeps coming in to work. No, I think the joy of what Les Mis has given me in that respect, it has been variety, and has been slightly having a creative side, which that thing with swing, isn't it? When you've got uncovering, when you're covering something, when your
Yeah.
brain has got one focus and other focuses going around as well. I think that's where I really feel alive, and I feel very lucky that gift, that the variety, and that I think I love being there, and I've enjoyed all of that. So.
That's amazing. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing it
Oh, it's a
all with
pleasure.
us. And also, I want to say thank you so much for being the pioneer that you are, because if it weren't for you, and it was Charlene Ford, I remember her in the
Yeah,
paper years and
yeah,
years ago.
she got that. She was the one
That's
just
it.
ahead of us on 42nd Street, wasn't
Is
it?
that, yeah, I remember reading it and thinking, God, that could only be the dream. I can't imagine that ever actually happening, but God, if only. And then seeing, well, you both, but seeing you do it and then it go on and on, I thought, you know what, fuck it. It's worth asking the company. I doubt they'll say yes, but it's worth a try. And then they did, because you can see other people doing it and it works. And it
Yeah.
was really, really inspiring. So thank you.
No,
But
don't get me crying again.
no,
My
but I do.
pleasure.
I think it was. I appreciate that. You did it, and it's all come about, and it's then given loads of other opportunities to other people and companies, because they look to it and they go, yeah, okay, fine, why not? Why
I
not?
think that's, and I think that, as every commitment is, when you come take a job, you want to go and you want to do your best, and you want to work as hard as you can. And I think that really was always what I wanted to do with this. I wanted us to all be a team, all singing from the same hymn book, all of us going that we want to come to work. You want to have, like I said, I imagined, as probably many women do, that there would be a time I wouldn't be able to work. because not wouldn't be able to. I'd like to be at home with the children, and luckily this has afforded me both. And I also understand that people need to work. We're in a completely different world than we have been previously as well. And that's why, again, I take my hats off. And I have done the full time when Nell was little, and that worked for that time. And I was very lucky that I was back full time. I'd got that kind of show fit, and I was working and I was really enjoying it, and I also got her in the days. But like every life bit changes, and I just always imagined from my first job looking up to the people who were in their 60s, 70s, being like, I look forward to hopefully doing this as long as I can do this through the years, because my children are only going to be at home for a little while. I'm sure they're going to be off flying the nest and running around and doing all of their stuff. And then, long may job shares continue for people who need it for various reasons. And I think the more open conversations we have, the more conversations we have with companies. And I've like I said, I've done panels and just want to keep talking about how it can work, and then looking at any obstacles, which for us was just where your costumes are stored, and obviously physically for the dresses to keep changing, and whoever's doing your wig. Otherwise, it's just a different mic that's being set. So it's trying to look at any obstacles and go, how can we help that? We all want to work together to make this a really exciting thing that more people in the future can continue doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you,
I
Sarah.
hope to see you soon.
We'll see you soon. All right,
Take
bye.
care. Bye.
Well, there we have it from Sarah Lark herself, just proving that it works, and it works really well for people that need it and want it and have the right setup. And Lauren Hall is still working so hard to try and get a job share from the breakdown onwards. But if it weren't for the likes of Sarah and Charlene Ford and Jenny Legg and all those people that came before us, and I'm sure there are others, and I know in fact there are plenty that have tried and not been successful. But hopefully this is the start. This is the continuation of what could be some more exciting opportunities for parents and carers and those, as Sarah said, those that just need the flexible working. So thanks again for listening. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week.